now.
I just want to say, I knew that we'd be the envy of every football guy in Canada.
How about that?
With this XFL gear that we got. This is hot. Like I look like the damn general manager of the XFL. I'm so excited. It's all beautiful. Rod the Rock Pedersen. I wouldn't go that far, but I love the Rock. I love me some Dwayne Johnson.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
It is, and it is a Wednesday. Canada's daytime sports talk show rocks on into hour 2 of the program. This is what we call the second half kickoff. I'm calling up a screenshot here of a text message I got from the Greek freak, Georgi Nitsos. The Four Seasons brings you the warm-up, which we did an hour ago, and I didn't read his thing. He says, how about this? Order a fabulous Four Seasons pizza and your favorite beverage for takeout and delivery. One-stop shopping. Call or order online. That's Four Seasons Sports Palace. You're a regular customer there, I know, Remps. And, of course, with the restaurant shut down, but for takeout and delivery, make them your choice for hockey watching. There you go.
You got to love Georgie.
Oh, yeah. Very excitable guy.
Yeah.
The Greek freak.
You talk about an interesting man. Oh, my goodness.
He's done it all. So we're going to veer over into hockey here in a second, but if you're just joining us, Reed Johnson from the XFL Markcast joined us out of Seattle last hour, and he just lit a fire that has not gone away. Okay, so we did a lot of football in hour 1, but it is the last day of March, and we're in the throes of hockey season, and there's a huge game tonight, Jets and Leafs. We previewed it last hour. First place is on the line of the Scotia North Division, and there's a lot of comments here. Dougal Cameron from Calgary writes in. He says, Rod, I hear what you said, but I have a season ticket subscription that is 80% paid that I have no intention of asking for it back. What else can I do? He's saying he's against the XFL merger and he's got money left with the Calgary Stampeders. I have no intention of asking for it back. Well, then you are making a conscious decision to make a donation, and that's great. Calgary Stampeders will say thank you for that. But they still don't know if they're playing or not. I don't understand, because there's a lot of people that are either for or against the merger based on their own perspective, which makes sense, Kelly, wouldn't you think?
Oh, of course.
I mean, if you could look at it from outside yourself would be nice, but that's where they're coming from with their opinion.
Well, yeah, and there's so many different layers to that too, right? I mean, I think, like for myself, here's where I'm at, okay? So here's where I'm at. In a perfect world, which we're not living in, I might add, the best case scenario for me would be the CFL just keeps doing what they're doing and somehow find their way out of this, and we all live with
they always do.
3-down football, the big field. All of a sudden, somehow somebody rubs a lamp and a genie comes out and says, "What's your wish?" Well, I wish for financial prosperity for the Canadian Football League. Boink! And all of a sudden, everything's just perfect again. That's ideally what I would like. And my son and I, we wear our rider green. We go to games. I grab a cold, refreshing beverage. He grabs a Coke, and we enjoy it. And Bob's your uncle. But that's not.
Why is everybody saying that? I like that.
I don't even know who Bob is.
I don't know.
Has somebody let us know who Bob is?
Gary's my uncle. But anyways, continue.
That would be perfect, but that's not happening, and it's probably not going to happen. So then my question becomes, okay, so then what? Well, I would rather watch something than nothing. We just built a beautiful stadium for $250 million that, if there's no football to watch, basically goes unused for all intents and purposes. So what are our choices? Are we that insistent that we won't even be open to the idea of some form of change, and the alternative is what? That we have no pro football to watch? There is no Saskatchewan Roughriders playing in any league?
Well, this is kind of what we're faced with. Fold or merge. Now, you were talking about the growth of this show. Jacques Dupuis in Ottawa. The Red Blacks still have my money for this season, still wondering what to do, still love the CFL. And so from the 905.
Frere Jacques.
From the 905 on the Prairie Mobile text line. First off, The Rock ain't curing COVID-19, My feeling is that Randy Ambrosie has mismanaged and failed to secure a better TV deal in order to reduce CFL owner dependence on ticket and concessions profit. TSN and Sportsnet are still raking in billions. The CFL Players Association should be standing up for a piece of that to pay football players, but not owners. Signed, Tim, Tiger Cat season ticket holder. From Ray in the 6. Hi, Rod. I love the Canadian division. Hope they keep it going forward. He's talking about NHL. Getting a little tired of seeing the same teams. Next year, keep the Canadian division, but play all the other teams. That would be perfect. I agree. From the 905 again, Rod, always a very informative show. I'm a huge Riders fan, shareholder as well, living in Milton, just outside Ontario. Families, just outside Toronto. Families from Estevan, Torquay area. Did I ever tell you the time in Torquay? I was underage and I jumped behind the bar and started serving drinks. We'd played senior hockey down there that night.
Back in your high rolling days.
Yeah, we got ran out of Torquay. Anyways, how about that? He says, loved the atmosphere at Taylor Field. Hoping give or take on both sides so we can thrive. Looking forward to the Masters golf tourney. Best regards, Chris GC. Watching in Milton, Ontario. From the 403, Earl writes in, just started watching from Calgary last week on Game Plus for the first time when you were talking Junior A topics. Great show. And Moose is from Wynyard? My dad's side is all from there. Question for you. I'm in my 50s and have some old school thoughts on hockey. My main beef is that players get points awarded for their stats for 3-on-3 overtime, which I think is so wrong and taints records. I love 3-on-3 and shootouts for entertainment, but both are a bit gimmicky and not real hockey in my eyes. Thoughts? It's interesting you say that because in the CFL, they used to count the stats in overtime. And then, but Dave Dickinson's were just going, right? Because he had a couple overtime games.
Yeah.
And he's throwing bombs. So they took it off the regular season points. Or you know what I mean? Regulation time points. I don't know, man. You saw last night, Connor Bedard picked up an assist on the game-winning goal. He's going to be out for overtime, all overtime, as is Braden Yager, as is Connor McDavid. You see what he's saying? It's not fair to the other players. They never see the ice in extra time. They don't have a chance to get those points.
Yeah, but then go play better and be more offensively productive.
It's like, why are we punishing the stars?
Your coach will be put out, and your coach will put you out there. Here's another thing. There's less games now. So the guys back in the day that maybe didn't get some of those 3-on-3 points in overtime had more games during the regular season to play too. So the guys today would say, yeah, but we don't have a 72-game schedule. We only have a 68-game schedule. So you could sort of play that game all day long. I do agree that in shootouts it seems silly that you would give somebody a goal. It's not really a goal.
Shootout goals don't count.
No, they don't.
But OT stats do.
I think they did the first year, though, if I'm not...
those shouldn't.
But I have no problem in 3-on-3 guys getting credit for a goal and an assist on their
I don't either.
Absolutely not.
I don't either. But thank you, Earl, for watching in Alberta. But, I mean, you said how we don't live in a normal time. And I don't know if we're ever going back, Cal, but I was talking to a coach last night. And he's a WHL coach, and he said that when he put out a young guy in a shootout, the older players were mad. And I said, did the young guy score? Well, of course. That's why I put him out. Then
That's ridiculous.
But you get it, though. At some point, we got to stop being upset. The kid scored. And this is like 10 years ago. That young player's now in the pros. I'm not going to name him. But so we all just going to change what we do because somebody gets upset? It's not fair to us that they get points in overtime. You just said it. Well, if you were better, you'd be on the ice in overtime. Which, can we spend 2 minutes on the show that we saw last night that was Connor Bedard of the Regina Pats and Braden Yager of the Moose Jaw Warriors? Just for all the hockey fans out there. One exceptional player and one that applied for it and probably could have got it in Yager. Like, he's very close. Wouldn't you say?
Close to being...
Yeah, an exceptional player. He's a stud, too.
They're different. You know,
they are different, but they're both great.
Oh, they're both great, and in their own way. You know, come up with a quick example. Okay, Oilers in the 1980s. You had Wayne Gretzky and you had Mark Messier. Both great players. Both completely different players. Wayne Gretzky was not a great defensive player. He was not a terrible defensive player, but he was not physical. He wasn't a banging and crashing and go into the corner and come out with the puck kind of guy. But he was so offensively astounding and led in all the offensive categories and just an absolutely amazing guy to watch. But you could easily make an argument that Mark Messier, although he wasn't quite as... there wasn't as much finesse in his game, was equally as effective.
Greatest captain of all time.
Because there's that. He was 6'2" or 6'3". He was 220 pounds. He was like a freight train when he hit you. He was a defensive, offensive, physical, hard-nosed, tough, mean, all of those things. They're not, I'm not saying one was way better or one was way worse. They were both great. They were just different. Connor Bedard and Braden Yager are not even close to the same type of player, but what makes them both great is they can both score. They're both going to get their fair share of points. I have no doubt in my mind Connor Bedard is going to have way more goals and assists, but Braden Yager is a great skater and probably plays a little bit better defensive game.
But you thought that was the best game in the Dub Hub.
I haven't seen a better one in the Hub for sure, and I would have to go back a couple of years, frankly, to find a better I mean, if you can enjoy that over time, like honestly, you must not like hockey. You must be just impossible to please.
But nobody was complaining about it.
No.
It was awesome.
No, it was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, so that's what happened last night, 3-2. We had the wonderful opportunity to call the game. 3-2 Regina Pats beating the Moose Jaw Warriors in the Dub Hub. We had it on Access Now TV. Tonight, you're going to the game with the Rat, Saskatoon Blades, Winnipeg Ice. It's the only game tonight.
That'll be
in the Hub. Out west, it's Everett against Seattle and Vancouver versus Prince George. 6 games in the big show. I might as well mention for Sports on Tap here for the Tap Brewhouse and Liquor Store. And they include Flyers at Sabres. Do the Sabres win?
No.
Toronto and Winnipeg.
Do they ever win?
Do they ever win? No. Arizona at Colorado. Canada's team, the Vegas Golden Knights, are home to the Los Angeles Kings. Minnesota takes on San Jose, and the Calgary Flames are at Vancouver. In the NBA, the Raptors are at Oklahoma City. From Devon and Regina regarding our football discussion last hour with Reed Johnson from the XFL Mark Cast. He says, Reed Johnson is right. The XFL product was sound and credible. Their rule changes were NFL/CFL hybrid. CFL needs to move forward with this merger. Here's one from the 716. The Rock on his show, The Ballers, led him into XFL ownership. Look at that show and what he's doing. Great segue. Goes on to say, how many teams did David Braley prop up? Sometimes multiple at once. Mr. Braley is gone. Let him take the CFL with him. He was the best thing ever. God bless you, David. Rest in peace. Smart guy right there. Because you remember, we used to say in those press boxes or those conversations you have in the CFL, right? Before the game. Somebody said, this league is a heart attack away from folding. And you know what he was referring to?
Yeah,
David Braley. Well, David Braley passed this summer. And here we are. That sounds very harsh, but it's true. The guy just nailed it. Did you read the
Stephen Brunt article?
Which one?
The one just after he passed?
Oh, yeah, where he ripped him and he said that he held the CFL back. We all know those things. I thought it was a little tasteless timing-wise. It was like the day after he passed away, man.
Yeah. Like, let the body cool down first.
Right.
But my point is that it was an interesting article because it kind of, on one hand, he didn't hold back in giving David Braley all kinds of credit for essentially keeping the league afloat. But then he also, there was sort of that not even subtle reference that in a lot of ways, the league will never take another step as long as a guy like that kind of holds the cards.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens here.
You know, it was an easy... I like Stephen Brent a lot.
Oh, he's great.
He's been really good to me.
I think he's a great writer.
Give me a lot of credit for a lot of scoops that I've had. And while that was poor timing, whatever.
Depends on
what he said wasn't wrong, but I'm not blaming David Braley for the lack of CFL marketing for the last 30 years. That's not Braley's fault. Maybe with his teams, they ran on a skeleton budget and they didn't have money for marketing. Trust me, I talked to those staff. But from the league office, the whole concept of not marketing your stars, wanting to go dark for 6 months in the offseason. Like, literally this morning on ESPN, I didn't watch Get Up because it's NFL every day, which is fine, but I would rather have some hockey talk. So I put it back to TSN and watch SportsCenter for a third time. But that's the NFL hype, man. They want to be in the news every day. It's work for them. And look where they are. And by the way, before you run, we have to break here and bring in Joey Kenward. But the NFL talking about playing games in Canada, regular season games. You saw that came out yesterday? Like, it's just another nail in the CFL's coffin. Why can't people see this? And Roger Goodell's literally said, we don't want to partner with you, CFL. You go do you do you. And we'll do us. And in the meantime, just flattening the CFL in our country. You can see that, can't you? Anyways, this has been the second half kickoff. You're watching the RP Show on Game Plus TV across all 10 provinces and 31 states. Live daily on YouTube and Facebook. And 24-hour sports talk for Suds Full Service Car Wash at rodpedersen.com. Listen live.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.